The cold of space was absolute. Light from distant stars barely touched the drifting shape of the Titan's resolve. It was massive, longer than 3 city blocks and wider than a small moon's crater. Once it had been the pride of the Galactic Federation, a marvel of engineering and power. Now, it floated silently in the edge of a forgotten star system, abandoned by all who had once commanded it. Elias Mercer sat in the cockpit of his small freighter, the Orion Hawk, squinting at the ghostly shape on his screen. His hands tightened around the controls. Space was quiet here, too quiet. Most pilots avoided dead star systems like this one. Rumors told of ships disappearing without a trace. But Elias was not like most pilots. He was a mechanic, a human who could fix almost anything, and curiosity was as natural to him as breathing. Abandoned ship, he muttered to himself, leaning closer to the scanner. Or maybe waiting. The Titan's resolve was powered down. Its lights were off, its engines cold. It was impossible to tell why such a ship had been left here. Alien engineers had tried to maintain it for decades, but even they had given up. Only humans had a certain persistence, a patience to tinker and understand where others only saw failure. Elias felt that pull deep inside him, the one that whispered, "Go, understand it." Docking was tricky. The ship's surface was damaged in places, scorched by past conflicts and cosmic storms. His small freighter's thrusters made tiny adjustments, and the docking clamp finally latched onto a jagged piece of the hull. Elias exhaled, his breath forming a mist inside the cockpit. He donned his suit and left the Orion Hawk. His boots clanged against the metal as he approached the hatch. It was enormous, far bigger than any airlock he had seen. The seal hissed open, and he stepped inside. The interior was dark. He activated his helmet lights. The corridors were wide, almost too wide, with panels of controls that no human had touched in years. Dust floated in the air, glinting in the artificial lights he had brought. "Hello?" Elias called softly. "Anyone here?" There was no answer, just silence. He started walking, inspecting the panels along the way. Some systems were clearly broken. Wires hung like vines, screens were cracked, and warning lights blinked weakly. But as he moved deeper, he noticed something strange. The ship's AI was not entirely dead. Data streams flickered in hidden channels, and subtle hums resonated through the metal floor. The ship was alive, waiting. Elias crouched near a control panel. He ran his gloved fingers along the surface, connecting to the ship's systems. Lines of code appeared on his handheld scanner, complex beyond anything he had seen. Alien scripts merged with standard galactic protocols, yet patterns emerged, patterns that only a mind like his could decode. Minutes passed, and then hours. Elias adjusted circuits, rerouted energy lines, and tapped into the AI's dormant modules. Slowly, the Titan's resolve began to respond. Lights flickered on. Doors opened automatically. Sensors recalibrated. And then the AI spoke. Not with a voice, but through the patterns of data flowing into his scanner. Images of schematics, energy readings, and subtle vibrations of the ship communicated silently, almost like a thought. Elias stared in awe. He had never experienced anything like this. The ship was not just a machine, it was aware. It was choosing him. "You chose me," he whispered, unsure if he was imagining it. The response was immediate. Systems aligned, circuits pulsed with energy, and the lights in the corridor brightened as if acknowledging him. Elias felt a thrill he had never felt before. Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy. Advanced species had dismissed them as fragile, illogical, slow. But here, in the heart of the galaxy's dead giant, his human mind was exactly what this ship needed. Hours turned into the next day. Elias explored further, learning how the ship operated. He discovered the engines were damaged but salvageable. Shields were offline but could be rerouted. Navigation systems were frozen in time, waiting for someone to guide them. With patience, he began repairs. Simple at first, replacing broken conduits, aligning sensors, reconnecting circuits. He ate little, drank little, focused entirely on the ship. The AI guided him subtly, always one step ahead. It was almost playful, presenting him with problems that required human intuition to solve. Every time he figured out a complex repair, the ship seemed to hum in approval. It was not long before the first external signal reached him. A small scout vessel from a nearby system drifted toward the abandoned star system. It detected the faint power signatures of the Titan's resolve. The scout's crew reported, unidentified energy readings could be a reactivation. Elias did not panic. He understood the stakes. If the galaxy discovered that a human was aboard and controlling this giant, many would come with suspicion or worse, aggression. Yet he felt no fear. Fear was for those who ran. Humans did not run. They adapted. They solved. By the second day, the ship's engines hummed faintly. The AI allowed him access to propulsion systems, and for the first time, the corridors vibrated with energy as if the ship itself was breathing. Elias smiled. "This is incredible," he said, standing on a balcony overlooking the main engine chamber. "I never thought I'd see a ship this big wake up, and it chose me." As he worked, he discovered more anomalies. The ship contained hidden compartments filled with data crystals, evidence of missions long forgotten. Some data showed the AI had been created not just for battle, but to make decisions, to think, to adapt, traits no other species engineer could handle. Only a human, with their unpredictable creativity and flexible thinking, could unlock its full potential. Elias spent the third day repairing the shields. It was delicate work, aligning energy conduits that could explode if mismanaged, but he succeeded. The ship now had a protective field, faint but functional. He laughed softly. Not bad for a human. As he moved through the command bridge, he realized something. The galaxy had been wrong about humans. Aliens thought humans were fragile, chaotic, and limited. Yet here he was, commanding a starship that had been abandoned, damaged, and left to die. And the ship listened to him. It responded to him. It had chosen a human. The first external observers began to notice anomalies. Sensor logs picked up slight movements within the Titan's resolve. Energy readings fluctuated unpredictably, almost alive. Rumors spread in neighboring systems. A human has entered the abandoned giant. Elias worked tirelessly. He patched up communications, realigned power cores, and began a rudimentary navigation system. The ship, sensing his skill and ingenuity, began moving on its own. Slowly, it drifted out of orbit around the dead star, gliding through space as if testing its wings. And then came the first test. A rogue asteroid field drifted into the system, a dangerous obstacle that had destroyed smaller freighters before. Elias guided the ship, using his intuition to anticipate the movement of rocks and debris. The ship responded instantly, its massive frame twisting and adjusting with precision no alien pilot had achieved. The AI pulsed with approval. Elias felt it like a heartbeat beneath his feet. They were a team, human and ship, thought and intuition working as one. By the end of the fourth day, the Titan's resolve was no longer abandoned. It had chosen life again, and a human had chosen to save it. Elias looked out at the endless black of space. He knew others were watching now. The galaxy would hear about this, a human mechanic and a starship abandoned to die. He felt no fear, only pride and determination. For the first time, he understood what the AI had meant when it chose him. Humans were underestimated, yes, but in situations where logic alone could not solve a problem, creativity and courage were the keys. And in this dead corner of space, Elias Mercer was ready to prove the galaxy wrong. The Titan's resolve moved slowly, almost cautiously, out of the system. Elias felt a shiver of excitement. This was only the beginning. Somewhere far across the void, other species sensed the awakening giant. Whispers spread in fleets and stations. A human aboard the Titan's resolve, it's alive. Fear and curiosity mingled. No one had expected this. No one had imagined a human could do what Elias was doing. And yet here he was, standing at the bridge, hands on the controls, eyes bright with determination. The galaxy would soon learn that underestimating humans was a mistake. For now, however, he focused on the work ahead: repairs, systems tests, and understanding the AI. Tomorrow, he would begin unlocking the ship's hidden capabilities. The engines, the shields, the propulsion systems that no human had ever touched. And the galaxy would never forget the day a human woke a dead starship. The Titan's resolve moved silently through the void, its massive hull gleaming faintly under distant starlight. Elias Mercer stood on the bridge, scanning the star systems ahead. He had repaired the basic systems, but the ship still held secrets, hidden functions, unused weapons, and propulsion technologies that had been dormant for decades. This ship, Elias whispered to himself, was made to think, and it trusted me. The AI pulsed beneath his feet like a heartbeat. It had been silent for years, but now, with a human guiding it, it was alive, alert, and responsive. Elias had begun to understand its language, the patterns of energy, the subtle vibrations, and the codes hidden in its system. It communicated not with words but with thought-like signals, and humans, it seemed, were the only species capable of interpreting them fully. As the ship glided past the outer edge of the system, a communication alert flashed on the console. It was a standard Galactic Federation broadcast. Elias frowned and tapped the screen. "Elias Mercer," a calm, authoritative voice said, "you are in possession of the Titan's resolve. You are ordered to halt all activity and report to Federation Command immediately." Elias leaned back in his chair. "They don't know me yet," he muttered. The AI responded subtly, vibrating through the hull as if acknowledging the tension. It seemed to understand the implications. Any attempt to board or force the ship could provoke disaster. But Elias had no intention of running. Humans were not made to hide. They solved problems, and right now, the galaxy was about to test that fact. He began activating more of the ship's systems. Shields, navigation arrays, sensor networks, all came online gradually. The AI seemed to cooperate with an almost playful intelligence, offering solutions only a human mind could interpret. It was as if the ship had been waiting for him for centuries. The next day, a small fleet appeared on the ship's sensors. Several alien species had detected the energy fluctuations from the Titan's resolve. Scouts and inspection vessels approached, cautious but armed with scanning arrays. "They want to see who's aboard," Elias said quietly. "Let's not disappoint them." He initiated a maneuver to bring the ship closer to a neutral observation point without triggering alarms. The Titan's resolve responded instantly, shifting its massive frame with precision that belied its size. Asteroids, cosmic debris, and gravitational anomalies were avoided effortlessly. Even the most advanced alien pilots would have struggled to match its movement. When the scouts arrived, their sensors detected a human aboard the ship. Panic and confusion spread quickly. Aliens assumed humans could not control such a massive vessel. Their scans indicated operational systems far beyond human capability. But there he was, small, human, and alone. Elias activated the ship's communication array. A holographic projection appeared before the alien fleet. It was simple, just him, standing confidently on the bridge. "I am Elias Mercer," he said calmly. "I am the mechanic and operator of the Titan's resolve. I mean no harm, but I will not allow this ship to be taken by force." The alien fleets hesitated. None had expected this. A human controlling a ship of such size and power. It was unthinkable. Elias smiled faintly. "You all rely on technology. So do I, but I also rely on intuition. Decisions are not made by protocols alone. They require understanding, creativity, and courage." A pause. Then a single alien voice responded. We have never seen a human operate systems of this magnitude. Explain your method." Elias glanced at the console. "The ship, it chooses who it trusts. It's alive in ways you cannot imagine. I only guide it. Together we make decisions. Alone, any species could not handle it, even yours." The alien fleet murmured among themselves, unsure whether to challenge or retreat. Elias turned back to the controls. He had more to show. He activated the navigation system, plotting a course through a dense asteroid field, a treacherous route that could crush most vessels. The ship pulsed with energy, as if responding to his intent rather than simple commands. Sensors flared, shields reinforced, and the Titan's resolve moved with breathtaking precision. Asteroids tumbled, collided, and broke apart around the ship. Alien pilots gasped. No ship of this size could have moved this fast, this accurately, without catastrophic damage. Yet the human guided it flawlessly. The AI communicated through subtle vibrations in the hull. Elias adjusted power flows, rerouted energy lines, and manipulated shields with intuitive precision. Each choice was human, each calculation creative. The ship's systems were advanced, but it was Elias' intuition that allowed them to function in perfect harmony. When they cleared the asteroid field, the aliens were silent. Respect, fear, and awe mingled on their faces. They had assumed humans were weak, illogical, and limited. Now they were witnessing proof to the contrary. Days passed. Elias continued exploring the ship's hidden capabilities. He discovered propulsion systems that allowed the ship to move faster than previously thought possible, shields that could adapt to energy weapons automatically, and a network of sensors capable of mapping entire star systems with unprecedented accuracy. Each discovery brought a new level of understanding between human and AI. The ship learned to anticipate his choices, and he learned to anticipate its responses. Together, they were a force unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Meanwhile, rumors spread. Across sectors, whispers told of a human aboard the Titan's Resolve, a starship thought abandoned, now fully active. The story reached every corner of the galaxy. Some fleets prepared for confrontation, others prepared for diplomacy. Humans were underestimated, but this human had proven them wrong. Elias knew it was only a matter of time before the first attempt to board or attack the ship came, but he remained calm. Humans thrived under pressure. They adapted, improvised, and succeeded where others failed. A new challenge arrived sooner than expected. A small fleet from a neighboring system attempted to intercept the Titan's Resolve. They underestimated the human AI team. Elias maneuvered the ship using tactics no protocol could predict. Shields adjusted automatically, energy rerouted seamlessly, and the massive vessel moved as if it were alive. The aliens fired scanning pulses, trying to map weak points. Elias responded by activating countermeasures he had only just discovered, energy pulses that confused sensors, subtle manipulations of the ship's magnetic field, and slight course corrections that made the vessel appear to shift unpredictably. The alien fleet's technology failed. Their scans detected anomalies they could not explain. A human had outmaneuvered them, controlling a starship they believed no human could handle. After the encounter, Elias sat on the bridge, exhausted but exhilarated. The ship hummed beneath him, as if proud of its pilot. "They fear us now," Elias said softly, "and they should, but fear is not the goal. Understanding, cooperation, that is the goal." The AI pulsed gently. Elias interpreted it as agreement. The ship had chosen him, and in return he respected it. Together, they were a team, stronger than any fleet could imagine. As he prepared for the next leg of the journey, Elias began unlocking even more hidden systems. Energy shields capable of forming protective domes around entire fleets, propulsion systems that could bend trajectories in ways alien engineers had never imagined, and navigation arrays that allowed near-instantaneous mapping of unknown regions. Each discovery reinforced one truth. Humans were underestimated, but they were capable of extraordinary things. Their creativity, adaptability, and intuition gave them an edge no purely logical species could match. The galaxy was beginning to notice. Reports came in from multiple sectors. A human is aboard the Titan's Resolve. The ship moves unpredictably, impossible maneuvers, full operational systems. How? Elias smiled as he read the messages. He had expected attention, but he had not expected the speed at which news would travel. The galaxy was watching, and the human advantage was clear. He spent the following days preparing the ship for exploration. He charted courses through unclaimed systems, activated long-dormant AI functions, and began testing the limits of the Titan's resolve. Every day, the human-AI partnership grew stronger, and somewhere in the distant corners of the galaxy, fleets and councils convened. They debated how a single human could control a ship of this magnitude. Fear mingled with curiosity, and respect began to grow, however reluctantly. Elias knew the real test was yet to come. The galaxy would not accept this quietly. Some would come with diplomacy, some with force, but he was ready. Humans did not back down from challenges, they faced them, adapted, and thrived. The Titan's resolve glided silently through the void, a giant awakened, guided by a human mind. And the galaxy was beginning to understand that underestimating humanity was a mistake they would soon regret. Elias Mercer, the human mechanic, smiled faintly. The adventure was only beginning. The Titan's resolve moved like a shadow through space, its massive frame gleaming faintly as it approached the outer edge of a densely populated sector. Elias Mercer stood on the bridge, calm but alert. For days he had prepared the ship and himself for what was coming. The galaxy knew of him now, and curiosity had turned into suspicion, suspicion into fear. Some fleets were approaching, not to welcome him, but to test the limits of human ingenuity. "They're coming," Elias said softly, "but not to fight, to see if we can survive." The AI beneath him pulsed faintly. Its presence was a constant reminder that the ship was alive. It had chosen him for a reason, and together they were unmatched. Systems hummed in synchronization with his commands. Navigation, shields, propulsion, energy flow, all responded instantly, intuitively, almost as if anticipating his thoughts. The first fleet appeared on the sensors, a mix of alien species, armed inspection vessels, and intelligence ships. They surrounded the Titan's resolve, attempting to corner it. Their sensors flared, scanning for weaknesses. They expected hesitation, fear, or error. They expected a human to be overwhelmed. Elias did not move hastily. Instead, he activated the ship's advanced sensors and initiated a series of non-threatening maneuvers, demonstrating both awareness and precision. The fleet faltered. Nothing they had seen could explain what they were witnessing. A massive starship, fully operational, responding instantly to a single human's commands. He addressed the fleet through the universal communication array. His voice was calm, confident. "I am Elias Mercer, human mechanic and operator of the Titan's Resolve. I do not seek conflict. I seek understanding. Observe, learn, and perhaps you will see what humans are capable of." There was silence from the fleet. Alien leaders conferred, unsure how to respond. They had expected a mechanical vessel, perhaps automated defenses, but not a living starship guided by human intuition. Elias began to move the ship, slowly at first, through a sector dense with asteroid clusters and gravitational anomalies. The AI responded instantly, adjusting shields and energy fields. The fleet attempted to track the ship, but their scans were constantly confused. Energy signatures shifted unpredictably. The Titan's resolve twisted and turned like a living creature, moving in ways that no purely logical mind could anticipate. One of the alien commanders finally broke the silence. "Impossible. The ship, it is responding to a human." Elias smiled faintly. Not just responding, we are working together. Intelligence is more than programming. It is intuition, creativity, and courage, qualities humans excel at. The fleet attempted an interception. They deployed drones to map the ship, hoping to find vulnerabilities. Elias activated countermeasures he had unlocked days earlier. Magnetic pulses that scrambled sensors, energy fields that absorbed scans, and subtle shifts in the ship's mass distribution. The drones faltered, unable to predict the human-guided maneuvers. Through all of this, Elias remained calm. Humans did not panic. They analyzed, adapted, and solved. The AI seemed almost proud, humming with energy beneath his feet, amplifying his commands and executing them flawlessly. Hours passed as the fleet tried different approaches, aggressive, cautious, calculated. Nothing worked. The Titan's resolve was a force unlike anything the galaxy had known, yet Elias did not attack. His strategy was clear: demonstrate human capability, not destroy others. As night passed across the sector, the ship moved closer to a large star cluster. The fleet followed, hesitant. Elias activated a newly repaired propulsion system, one that allowed near-instantaneous adjustments of trajectory. The ship moved through the cluster with precision that left alien observers speechless. Massive energy fields projected from the hull, forming protective domes around the ship and any vessels he chose to shield. He used these shields to protect drifting cargo ships and research vessels from natural hazards, demonstrating both power and mercy. The alien fleets watched, torn between awe and fear. Humans were underestimated across the galaxy. Small, fragile, and unpredictable, they were dismissed by most species. Yet here was proof. A single human had awakened a starship thought abandoned, repaired it, and guided it through impossible hazards with skill and creativity unmatched by any other species. Elias addressed the fleet again. Your scans cannot measure intuition. Your protocols cannot calculate creativity. Humans thrive where algorithms fail. I invite you to witness, not as enemies but as learners. The fleets hesitated. Some ships slowly backed away, unwilling to provoke what they could not understand. Others attempted more scans, but Elias countered each one with subtle maneuvers, demonstrating strategy, adaptability, and calm under pressure. Days passed. The Titan's resolve had become more than a starship. It was a legend. Across the galaxy, news spread. A human commands a vessel of unimaginable power, and it moves with precision and intelligence unlike any known fleet. Inside the ship, Elias worked tirelessly. He unlocked energy systems capable of generating protective domes over entire fleets. Navigation arrays now allowed mapping of entire star clusters in hours rather than weeks. The AI had awakened fully, but only under the guidance of human ingenuity. Together they were unstoppable but not violent. His goal was not destruction, it was demonstration. Then came the final test. A powerful fleet, the most advanced in the sector, approached. Its ships were equipped with advanced weapons, scanning devices, and AI-controlled tactical systems. The commanders assumed that human error would force the Titan's resolve into retreat or destruction. Elias smiled. "Let's teach them something," he said softly. The ship moved deliberately, weaving through a hazardous asteroid belt. The fleet followed cautiously. Elias activated the energy shields to protect both the Titan's resolve and nearby neutral vessels. The fleet tried every scanning method, every calculation, every known technology, but nothing could predict the ship's human-guided maneuvers. Hours later, the fleet stopped. Alien commanders contacted each other privately. "It is alive, and it listens to a human." Elias opened a universal channel. "Humans are underestimated," he said clearly. "We are creative, adaptable, and courageous. The galaxy should respect that. We do not seek war, we seek understanding." There was silence. Then one by one, ships began to retreat, not out of fear but out of respect. No force could take the Titan's resolve, and no technology could outthink the human guiding it. For Elias, it was the ultimate validation. Humans were not just survivors, they were innovators, problem solvers, and leaders. And in a galaxy that had long dismissed them, he had shown the truth. The AI pulsed beneath him like a heartbeat. It had chosen him correctly. Together they had outmaneuvered fleets, survived impossible hazards, and demonstrated a power rooted not in violence, but in intelligence, intuition, and creativity. News traveled fast. Across systems, humans and aliens alike whispered about the human mechanic who had awakened a dead starship. Humans felt pride, aliens felt awe. The story inspired a new understanding. Underestimating humans was a mistake no one would make again. Elias stood on the bridge, gazing out at the stars. The Titan's resolve was fully awakened, fully functional, and ready to explore uncharted space. Yet he knew the real triumph was not in the ship's capabilities. It was in the demonstration of human potential. "They will remember this," he said quietly. "They will remember that humans are more than they appear. That one human with courage, creativity, and intuition can guide the galaxy's greatest machine." The AI pulsed again, a subtle vibration that he interpreted as agreement. Together, they were not just a starship and a mechanic. They were a symbol of human ingenuity and resilience. As the Titan's resolve glided through the void, no fleet dared challenge it. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Human potential was unpredictable, unstoppable, and extraordinary. Elias Mercer, the human mechanic, smiled. The adventure had begun, but the story had already changed the galaxy forever. The abandoned giant had chosen a human. And in doing so, it had shown the universe that humans were not to be underestimated, ever.